it wasn't really even a bad whooping I put on him. But at first, until I walked out of the cell, and he walks out behind me, and in front of God and everybody, says, "You got to finish what you started."
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Hello YouTube. A lot of people have done questions about what happens to those with messed up cases in prison. I think it really depends on the prison and even the time. So I'm going to tell a few stories and tell a little bit about what I've experienced. When I first got to the walls, to my knowledge, there was nobody on the yard with messed up cases. They just found out they weren't allowed. Over time, as time progressed, more and more of them started being on the yard. I mean, it wasn't like a whole lot, you know. But then I got to Farmington, and one whole side, they had two sides to the prison. There's like two prisons in one. One whole side was with those with messed up cases and stuff, you know. And it really irked me that they was even allowed on the yard. You know, they had their own yard, you know. Went to their little programs and all this and that. What happens to them over time, you know, like I said, as I did more and more time, you'd see more and more of them on the yard. And I've seen them extorted. You know, a lot of them didn't go out in the yard anyway. Just to be able to live in the housing unit, people say, you know, you have to pay to live here in the housing unit, you know. And they usually live with somebody else with a similar case. Or somebody who didn't care, you know. See, they got different levels. They got alphas, kappas, and sigmas. Kappas can still for anybody. I was a kappa and I hated it because sometimes they put me in a sigma. It doesn't mean they had a messed up case. It just meant that they was less likely to defend themselves, and I didn't like being in a cell with somebody like that. You know, if the cell was being hit, I wanted somebody there that, you know, could handle their own. So those with messed up cases would either sell with somebody else with a messed up case or some other sigma or something that really didn't care. One time, this was in Farmington. Was this in Farmington? Yes, it was in Farmington. They put me one in my cell, but I didn't know it at the time. I had my suspicions, but you know, I don't accuse somebody until I know for sure. Well, it came out that he had a messed up case, and I whooped him. And it wasn't bad either. It wasn't really even a bad whooping I put on him. But at first, until I walked out of the cell, and he walks out behind me, and in front of God and everybody, says, "You got to finish what you started." So I finished what I started. They tried locking me up for that, but I have to hand it for him. He didn't rat on me or anything like that. He kept saying he got hit with a piece of ice. There was snow and ice, and he said somebody threw a piece of ice at him. He didn't know who it was. They didn't believe it. They told me they didn't believe it, but they let me go. And so that's one case. When I was in Potosi, they put a guy in the cell with me. He just came out and told me what he was in there for. I mean, he wasn't in the cell a couple hours. And he goes, "I need to tell you something." And I said, "What?" I said, "You ain't got one of those messed up cases, do you?" He goes, "No, I'm not one of those people." But he said, "Me and my wife are alcoholics, and we went out we locked our son in a closet and went out partying for a long time. I think he said a couple of weeks, week and a half. He said we was gone, crashing at other friends' houses and stuff. And he said when we came back, our son was dead. And they had all these charges on him. And I told him he had to get out of the cell. So he goes down there and he tells them. And they come up and tell me, you know, we could write you up for threats. And I said, well, you know, whatever. I said, you know, if he stays in the cell, one of us is going to get hurt. And that's all I got to say about it, you know. So they went and talked to him again. They came back and they said, if he comes up and packs his stuff, we let him pack his stuff, we'll put him in a different cell. I said, yeah, fine. So they did that. When I was in South Central Correctional Center, there was a guy that come in, a young dude. I think he actually came from another prison, but he had like 7 more years to do. And there was this group of white dudes walking around. If you ask me, they're a bunch of wannabes. They want to be part of a group, you know. So bad, they taste it. And they told him, if you want to be part of us, you got go beat that guy up with a messed up case. So he beat the guy up in the gym, beat him bad. Ends up doing him in. I mean, the guy passed away. So that guy's got another charge now. It's really messed up, you know, that the guy was going home in 7 years. He's probably not going home now. All because of somebody with a messed up case and him being goaded into doing it. But it was that same prison that I seen people that would extort him, because one of my partners was going to run one off the yard. He came out in the yard and he seen him, and somebody told him he had one of those cases, and so he was going over there and he's telling me he had to get off the yard. I mean, you really can't. I mean, you can do something to them if you want, but you're going to get a hate crime, all these charges against you. So he was just telling him, you have to leave the yard. And the other guy came over and said, look, man, hey, leave him alone, man. You know, he said, that's my money, you know. I'm getting money from him. So this is some of the things that happens to them. From my own experience, you know, they're on the bottom of the totem pole. But anymore, at least in Missouri, you're going to get a lot of time if you put your hands on them. Some people that ain't getting out don't care though. You know what I mean? But anyway, that's all I got for you today. I thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.